Welcome to the Bear Down Boys podcast, where the only thing that is good about this team is Roshan Johnson. To my right, I have Nicole, who is, I think, doing better than most of us this week. I think a little positive.
At some point, you just learn to laugh with it, and
Fair.
There's nothing else you can do.
Below me is Jarrett, who I am extremely concerned about, like legitimately concerned that he needs to be checked in somewhere.
This week has been just a cry for help since the Bears game, so
your villain arc has begun.
And adjacent to me, I think, is the fuel of the anger from everyone is Miller Football down there.
I'm the fuel of the anger, not Jarrett?
I mean, that Discord kind of blew up just with you being angry, just feeling everyone just kind of just get all pissy.
Well, anger is as anger does.
Fair. I mean, you got most of your anger out.
I don't know. I feel like
podcast.
I don't know. I feel like my personality has completely changed and just a grumpy old person. I've someone on Twitter pointed out you evolve into that Bears fan that every Bears fan becomes is just old and grumpy because your team sucks. I've hit that level.
Mm-hmm.
I'm finally there.
I can see that. We played the Packers last week. We were very positive walking into the game. That did not turn out to be the same feeling going into next week against the Buccaneers and Baker Mayfield. So overall, any takeaways that are positive before we get into all the negative and us just all ranting about stupid shit that happened last week? Any positives?
The one player in the game produced from the 409, Roshan Johnson, was he had like a few solid runs. That was basically our entire offense was him for the most part, which he didn't even play that much, which makes it even sound even worse. Mm-hmm. But he did well, and that's something, I guess.
Yeah, I mean it felt like a good day for the rookies. As weird as that sounds, like Roshan had an awesome game. Tyreek Stevenson looked really good. Mm-hmm. Obviously, there were a lot of like miscommunication issues in the secondary, but him individually, I thought he did good in coverage. And, he came playing with the fire and the physicality that he's known for. He had a couple really nice tackles. I got to tell you, that dude's tackling for him is legitimately orgasmic. I love it so much. It is perfect. It is textbook. Like, I know he's a rookie, but I genuinely feel like NFL teams around the league just need to record Tyreek Stevenson tackling people and show that to their corners. And more specifically, I think the Bears need to record Tyreek Stevenson tackling people and show that to Eddie Jackson because it's perfect. It is absolutely perfect. Both of the rookie D tackles, Zach Pickens and Javon Dexter, they didn't get a ton of PT, but they were two of like the most hustle players on the team, I guess is the best way to put it. Like there was a play where Dexter chased somebody down and, they were firing off the ball good. They were trying to do whatever they could despite everything going on. And Darnell Wright, apart from getting his lunch ate by Rashawn Gary a few times, which is going to happen, rookie offensive tackle in his first game going against one of the 5 best edge rushers in football. It's not going to be a pretty day, but specifically when he went up against his fellow rookie and Lucas Van Ness, he had that boy in a box. Like he played really well, all things considered. And then outside of the rookies, I was happy with Andrew Billings. He was just the man mover that he's meant to be, but it was tough otherwise. That's for sure.
So what I'm hearing from you is that your main concern walking into this game, the defensive line, is your biggest takeaway, especially the interior defensive line.
Yeah, it's almost like a bad defensive line is a recipe for bad defense. It's a crazy concept, I know, but
well, I feel like going into the season, there was question marks with the interior, but I feel like it was like the edge group of the defensive line was the real issue, and that very much showed in this game. Jordan Love literally could, do whatever he wanted in the pocket, and there was no pressure whatsoever. Like literally, all 200 pounds of me would have done better than any of the edge rushers we had, except maybe Yannick. That one play he did something, but it was. I'm gonna honestly, this entire podcast, I'm gonna use the word pathetic a lot. It was pathetic. There was there was nothing. Like they didn't even give us a glimmer of oh, this could work. No, it was just pathetic all the way around. It was bad. Lack of effort for the most part. It was not a pretty game whatsoever.
It was depressing. The best thing about the game was that the Bears were down enough and out of the game, I could turn on the better game in the Chargers Dolphins. That was like the best part.
You had that in your area, motherfucker. I would love to watch that game. I don't watch Red Zone, which showed me like one time. Just,
Great
Watched
game.
every second of this game, man.
I did too. I was like, I wanted to change it, but I'm like, I can't. Like, maybe we'll see. Big plays, at least something to give me something. But nope, never happened.
A part of me couldn't like turn away from it. Like it's so bad you have to like watch it to make sure like what you're seeing is real type deal.
Mm-hmm.
But the Chargers Dolphins game was just so good. Like,
I heard it was. I didn't get to watch it, but I heard good
yeah,
things.
I'm gloating about having Sunday Ticket, but it was really good.
You can't watch the Chargers anymore, Jarrett. They cut Horvath.
Oh yeah, that is true. They're on my hit list, so I'm happy they lost.
hey, Trey McKitty had a nice fullback, block.
He did
that
have
is not
one.
a fullback though. That doesn't. There's no Xander Horvath, bro.
No.
Fair
Who
enough.
is now
He's
on the practice squad for the
He's
Steelers.
Pittsburgh's practice squad.
That's stupid.
Who's
He'd make a better tailback than Najee, don't at me.
Who's Pittsburgh's full? Is it the Cameron Hayward's brother?
Technically,
Connor.
yeah. They don't have him listed as a fullback, but Connor Hayward's who they're putting in, yeah.
I can kind of respect it, but he's no Xander Horvath. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, no, they got weird. So they didn't bring back Derek Watt, and then they signed the UDFA fullback out of Iowa, Monty Pottebaum, and then he retired. So they started running Kendrick Green, who's a center at fullback, and then they traded him. And then they defaulted to Hayward because I thought when Pottebaum retired, that was their move was Hayward because Hayward's fine. Like he played H-back and a little bit of fullback in college. But that's neither here nor there. Speaking of fullbacks, the one good thing I liked about Luke Getsy's offense this week is that he tried to get Kari involved.
On a screen pass.
It wasn't a screen pass.
It was a dump off behind the line.
I'm
No,
not
it
saying
wasn't.
Yeah, it was.
No,
No,
he
it
had
was-
Kari. He split Kari out wide multiple times, and in one of those times, he ran an in route, and Fields was trying to throw it off his back foot under pressure and placed it too high, or else Kari would have caught it and had like 5 yards to go. Like he actually split him out wide and tried to do things, which props to Getsy for that and that alone.
I refuse to praise Getsy for anything. Like this was on par with rookie Justin Fields, like against the Browns level of like Matt Nagy. Like just
Shenanigans.
yeah, it was like I don't know if y'all. I assume you saw it on Twitter. There was like the quarterback school like Twitter account, and he did like a like film breakdown of the Bears offense, and he literally laughed at us because he's like, what the fuck is going on right now?
Yeah.
And that's what I felt like the whole game whenever we did like, hey, screenplay on first down, on second down, you know what we're going to do? Another screen. And on third, what we're going to do? Probably another screen. And that was like our entire offense, and it wasn't working. And then we was like, you know what? It didn't work the first 27 times. How about time number 28? And it still didn't work.
Yeah,
It
and
was
I think Getsy saw the two screens in week 1 of the preseason with DJ and Cleo and said, this is my entire offense. This is perfect. There's no changes. This is going to be our offense for the rest of the year.
Which is hilarious, considering there was not a single designed screen for DJ Moore, who is by far and away the best player after the catch on this football team. It makes no sense to me. Like, listen, God love Cole Kmet. Never run a tight end screen with him. He's not. That's not his game. He's not fast. He's not quick enough to slip by. He's a big hulking tight end. You hit downfield and then he tries to run through somebody. He is not a screen receiver as a tight end. Please throw that out of the playbook. Just throw every screen out of the playbook unless it's to DJ Moore. That's the only player on this team that should be trying to catching screens. And also, if you're going to run a screen, run it to wherever Chase Claypool is not, because that dude is a total fucking liability as a blocker. If there is one thing I will not excuse, it is piss poor effort and piss poor blocking. I guess that's two things, but they go together, because blocking is all effort when you're that type of player. It's ridiculous to me. It is utterly ridiculous.
Chase Claypool is a big ass dude. Like, bro is big.
Yes.
He is massive. And there was the play that stands out, which again was whoop-de-doo surprise. It's a screenplay again. It was the one to Mooney on the right side. Claypool is like 6'4", like what 230. Like, dude's a big motherfucker. And like Keyshawn Dixon, who's like half his size, like 170 pounds soaking wet, literally pushes the man back like 10 yards directly into Mooney's lap. Like how.
It's not even that. It's like Claypool like watches him do it. He like looks back at Mooney and is like he's a spectator, like he's us.
Yeah.
Watching the game, and it's like kind of look at him. He's like, he's coming pretty close, isn't he? And then just doesn't do anything.
Right.
we had talked about the whole like the idea of trading for Claypool was smart, and I from day one I was like, I like the idea, but Claypool as a player I'm not a big fan of from his time in Pittsburgh. And I was like, you know what, like he apparently had a good training camp, a good off season, I'll give him the benefit of the doubt, wow me week 1, do something. No, he did the exact opposite, and I've never given up on a player like so quickly. I'm like, no, the dude's not trying out there. Dude is just like going with the motions, getting pushed back by dudes half his size. The one time he did get like a screen pass to him, which again, probably not a good idea, but dude just drops it. Like he did literally nothing but hurt the team the entire game. And like there was talk of St. Brown, like Equinemius, playing over him because for some reason he was a healthy scratch. And I'm all for that because Claypool is there's no I don't see him like having a comeback from that. That was just the most pathetic excuse of a game from a receiver I've seen since like that point when Allen Robinson gave up on the team. That's that's the level it was on.
I think the thing that pisses me off the most about that though is like we saw a play late in the game on a scramble drill where Justin was taking off and Chase was the first receiver in front of him, and he set a sick block. Like, he set up Justin to get an extra 5 yards and get out of bounds. Like, if you're going to do that on one play, what the fuck is wrong with you? Mm-hmm. Like, again, it's not like a technique thing. It's not like he was being put out of position. It was just straight up effort. And, like, he showed that he can do it. He showed that there is a world where Chase Claypool can actually set a block. Hell, at Notre Dame, he was putting on goddamn teach tape for blocking as a wide receiver. There's no reason why he, and as big as he is, like Jarrett pointed out, should be getting not only beat by corners on blocking plays, but getting stacked and shed by a fucking 5'10" corner. I mean, that dude literally looked like a pass rusher. A run defender. He grabbed him by the shoulder pads, looked around, and shed. There's no excuse for that. There is absolutely none. It is utterly pathetic. Mm-hmm. And I'm with Jarrett. Like, I was very much a fan of the Claypool trade when it happened, right? I like Chase Claypool. I thought there was a lot of potential there, obviously, with the frame and the athleticism. And I like the idea of getting Justin like a real 50-50 ball guy to take a lot of that pressure off Mooney and just kind of let him do his thing. And now it doesn't work. Like the effort is not there. I stand by the process wasn't nearly as bad as a lot of people make it out to be. Like, sure, you traded what was the 32nd overall pick, the 32nd overall pick, the first pick in the second round. That doesn't matter to me. I hate grading trades in hindsight like that, where, you trade a pick and then it ends up being a really good pick. I'm not about that. Mm-hmm. So you trade a second round pick for a receiver to try to help your young quarterback, and he just doesn't care. Like, I don't understand how you can pin a player not giving a shit about football on Ryan Poles like a lot of people have been trying to.
It's not on Poles. I think Poles had the right idea, and he's like, this guy is cheap enough for us to get right now and has an upside. And then Claypool decided, hey, I'm just not going to come to work, essentially. He literally is doing quiet quitting right now on the Bears, and it's frustrating.
The dude's too busy doing fashion shows to play, which, like, props to him. I'm all for dudes feeling themselves and, like, experimenting with fashion. But if you're going to do it, like, care about your job too, maybe? I think that would be pretty cool. Maybe that's just a me thing, though.
The trade isn't on polls necessarily, but I will say I didn't like giving up a second round pick for him. And this isn't me doing it retrospectively, like them picking, Joey Porter Jr. or anything, but it's like, those for a team that we knew, going out and buying last season, that we knew they were fighting for the top 3 picks, one of those picks, right? It's in that sense, it doesn't make a lot of sense to me. But at the same time, to your guys' point, I did like it in that it was showing Justin, hey, we believe in you. We're going to get you more weapons. Let's see what you can do. Right, new regime, we got to figure stuff out too. And we didn't draft you. We have no affiliation with you other than we now are employed by the same people, right? So we got to figure that out. But so I liked it in that sense. And I will just never understand. Like, I hate coming out and saying, like, where is the effort, the lack of effort. I hate accusing professional players of that because it's like, most cases it's just not true, but like this was just blatant. This is blatant, not caring, not giving a damn, and I'm just so confused. I'm just so confused by that. I don't get it. Because at this point, like, yeah, he got paid, and we'll get to this point too, but what people are saying about Cole Kmet, like, he got paid, he doesn't care. They're still fighting for better contracts. They're still fighting, even if it's not with this team, they're still playing for that in the future. And I know it's only one game, but how against a hated rival that you had, how long to prepare for, and you're not giving a shit? Like, what's going on? What happened? And to that point, it didn't seem like a lot of the guys, as DJ Moore said, brought the juice or the hype. So, like, what went wrong there? How was Chase Claypool even further behind that than the rest of them against a hated rival in week 1? Like, that's the damning part.
Yeah, and the thing that concerns me too is, like, this is why we hired Eberflus. He was supposed to bring the juice and get everybody where they needed to be, because we remember the last year of the Matt Nagy and Ryan Pace era, was hell. Nobody cared. Nobody wanted to be there. Nobody was trying. It was a total mess. You could tell everybody was just defeated. And you bring in Matt Eberflus, who's supposed to be this great culture guy, who's supposed to hype everybody up. He brings in this hits principle. And I won't lie, I bought into it. I'm still buying into it. Like, I'm not out on Eberflus or anything. But this is really concerning on his end. Because, I know a lot of people hate the idea of a defensive head coach. I'm not super against it, but, that is what it is. I liked the idea of bringing in a culture guy. And when the culture isn't culturing, then what are you doing? Like, why are you here? What do you bring to this team? Not to mention the defensive coordinator that he brought along with him is a total moron. Like, the more I think about it, the more I'm starting to be worried about Eberflus because of that kind of stuff, is what I'm trying to say, which I hate because I'm such a big Eberflus fan.
I'm worried about Eberflus because he saw Getsy run screen after screen after screen and didn't tell him to knock it the fuck off.
Well, I mean, like, he's a defensive coach. It's not like a lot of those guys have a pre-established thing where they're not going to overstep their boundaries. Like, yeah, I agree, but I feel like you got to have faith in your play caller in the first week of the season. Now, if it continues, sure.
But literally, the screens got blown up play after play after play, and I don't care if you're a defensive coach or offensive coach. I am a 21-year-old guy who almost knows nothing about football compared to this man. Tell your offensive coordinator to knock it the fuck off with the play calling that's so fucking transparent that it hurts my brain. Oh. I tweeted out on the Bear Down Boys Twitter, which y'all should follow, that his play calling gave us concussions because it was just that bad. It was the worst thing I've seen since Nagy, and probably even since Trustman. I think it was horrid. I can't remember play calling that bad.
See, because my thing is, I don't want to just straight up compare it to Nagy, but Getsy's play calling, to an extent, kind of reminds me of the Nagy era, because it's very much just he runs what he runs, instead of, a good coach runs their offense through playing through their players' strengths, kind of a thing. Nagy never did that. That was his, the downfall of him, is he's like, you're going to run my offense. I don't care if it fits your strength at all. And, you see how that went. And Getsy seems like screens, they with some of our players, like DJ Moore is one of the best, yak receivers in football. Dude, when he gets the ball in his hands is insane, which occasional screens to him makes sense to me. But for what the talent of our offense is, running screens repeatedly through the entire game does not play to our strengths at all. Mm-hmm. And the same thing with the defensive side with Allen Williams. We have, very, what's the word? Scrappy kind of corners, mm-hmm. We're aggressive, basically. And instead of, taking advantage of that and running his defense like that, he didn't really do that many blitzes. It was more deep zones to playing off of the receivers, which does not play to our strengths once again. And it showed very heavily in the game that our coaches weren't coaching to the strengths of our players, and it made it all look worse than it is. Because from on a talent level on paper, it's not like an elite team. I'm not going to say that, but it's a talented team. We have a lot of talented pieces, especially on the offense, and you don't see that when you don't call plays that benefit said players to show off said talent. And that's what the part that's kind of like stressing me out the most, is because it's not a talent thing, it's a coaching thing, and I don't know how stubborn these coaches are going to be, if they're going to be able to switch that so that our season isn't just a complete wash straight away from week one. Maybe I'm, in too much of a panic mode, but that's how my gut feels right now, that I'm a little worried that they're not going to make the adjustments they need to actually show off the team's strengths.
If you remember, I'm sure you guys remember, last year, Getsy got a lot of praise for adjusting at the midseason mark, right? Specifically after that Washington game and going into the Patriots game, the offense looked totally different. It was a lot more designed runs for Fields. He was playing a lot more to Fields' strengths. And, he kind of threw out what a lot of people, including myself, really thought was going to be the bread and butter of this team. And that was like a wide zone Shanahan-esque type of scheme. And he completely flipped the script on its head, and he was running a lot more out of shotgun and, using a lot less play action and all those types of things. And I think there's still that in Getsy, because I was really impressed with him last year after that. I think the big issue play calling wise, in terms of adjustments specifically, like Jarrett mentioned, is they spent this whole offseason hyping up Justin to be a better pocket passer, to, be more prepared to take the short stuff and play more conservatively, because we remember last year Justin was one of the most aggressive quarterbacks in the league by any metric when it came to throwing the ball. The big complaint with him was, okay, you've got the arm, you can do the cool shit downfield, take your checkdowns. And now in this game it was, okay, you can take your checkdowns, now you've got the arm, do the cool shit downfield. It was the total opposite. And I'm thinking what happened is they played too much into the narrative, so to speak, of what people want Fields to be. And when I say people, I mean specifically them, obviously. It's not like they're going to Twitter and they're like, all right, how should we run our offense? It's like, this is the expectation from Fields for anyone that is familiar with this team, that's familiar with the moves that have been made. And they just bought too much into that. And the biggest reason for that, or the biggest evidence for that I have, is the fact that they only ran, 2 or 3 designed QB runs with Fields, whereas last year he would get 7 to 8 and a quarter. So I'm optimistic. We'll put it that way. I know that's a crazy thing to say in this type of video, but I am optimistic that Getsy is not going to continue to make those same mistakes, at least not long term. Now, I don't know if he'll completely flip the offense on its head after a week with all of the drama and conversations that have been going on in the building, but I do think long term we're going to see a bit of a shift from that. And that's not even a slight at Fields, saying that he can't be a drop back passer or whatever. It's just you're taking away what has been the best part of his game so far. And what you have to do as a coordinator is you have to find a balance of that. You have to find a happy marriage between Fields being able to push the ball downfield and, be able to pass from a clean pocket, but also get outside, create in space, play that not quite hero ball, but improvise at a high level like he can and make something out of nothing. And they just weren't doing that. Now, defensively, the issue there is this defense that they're running is in nature conservative. It's, if the Tampa 2 defense that we all know and love, that bend, don't break, capitalize on turnovers, that type of thing, death by a billion paper cuts. That is not the type of defense you want to run when you don't have any pass rush, because the main staple of that defense is getting home with 4 and setting up your secondary to capitalize on turnovers. And we simply don't have the ability to get home with 4. Last week, we did see a couple plays where Alan Williams was like, maybe I'll blitz. We'll see what happens. And they ended up in our favor. There was one play, I want to say it was a nickel blitz, where it wouldn't have been Kyler at this point because I think he was already hurt, but he sent somebody at Jordan Love off the edge, and Jordan Love got scared on a 3rd and medium and threw the ball almost directly at Eddie Jackson. He had a double coverage. I want to say it was Jalen and Eddie on the right side, and it hit Eddie in the back of the head, or else it would have been a pick. We need more of that. I'm not saying you have to get ultra aggressive and run like a Steve Spagnuolo, Wink Martindale, you send 6 every play, but you need to get more aggressive. You cannot sit in these soft-ass cover 2 zones, because not only is that not playing to your players' strengths, as Jarrett pointed out, because you have 2 of the most physical type of man corners you're going to find. Tyreek Stevenson, I think, as his career progresses, will be one of the best at that in the league. And Jalen Johnson, even though he's not the flashiest guy in the world, if there's one thing he can do, it's take out a receiver. You have those guys. and you're basically saying, hey, just sit there, right? And the other problem with that is the secondary and the back seven really has no chemistry with each other, because this defense also, when you're running a bunch of zone, your guys have to know the tendencies and the mindsets of the guys around them, because if you're going to be passing off guys into zones, you need to feel confident that the guy behind you or the guy next to you is going to pick him up. And there was a lot of attempting that last week, and guys just not picking it up or trying to pass it off again, and that's why we got so many busted coverages. Like, I know a lot of people have been pointing at the linebackers having a bad game. They didn't. They just have no chemistry together. They didn't get to play together except for maybe 6 snaps in the last preseason game?
Yeah.
Edmonds and Edwards just aren't used to each other's tendencies yet. And Eddie Jackson, it's the same thing with him, because he only had half a season of Brisker last year. He had maybe half a season of Kyler Gordon because of his injury and Kyler Gordon's injury. And then on top of that, Stevenson doesn't have that chemistry with Brisker yet, and none of them have chemistry with the linebackers. It's just a mess back there. This defense, in order to work well, has to be run almost to perfection in the secondary, and they're just not doing that. It's not there yet. And sure, some of that is on the players, but a lot of it is on just not having the experience together and the coaches not setting it up the way it needs to be. It's so unbelievably infuriating to watch poorly ran zone coverages, because it's so blatant when it fucks up. And it's not even like you can sit and make the excuse like, oh, that's a receiver that's just bigger and faster than him, so we beat him off press. It's like, no, he's supposed to outsmart the receiver, and he just can't because he's not executing right. And it's ridiculous. But I'm a little more hesitant to say there's going to be a change, just because that's the nature of this defense.
Yeah. There's a lot. I got lost for a second.
I know that I blacked out a little bit. I'm not going to lie. I get into my little schematic rants, and I apologize.
No, ranting is good. This is how we're all going to get through this tough time.
Feel.
This is Bear's therapy session.
They should have hired like an actual shrink to come on here.
And while we didn't play,
We love when the moderator freezes up. So, Darnell Wright had a pretty good game.
Yeah, like I said, when he wasn't getting his lunch ate by Gary, he did look pretty good.
Which Sean Gary's I think he's underrated, to be honest. Like, not enough people talk about him. He's very solid, and your first career game, which I know it's like a pretty known thing that tackles usually struggle when they first, their first year or so. But he did pretty solid. He showed his strengths exactly what they are, just being massive and strong as hell.
His anchor looked awesome.
I was impressed. I mean, I was mad at the game, but those little impressive moments made me a little happy. So
you have to take away the bits and pieces you can from a bad game.
Yeah, you throw a rookie out there on. I mean, literally, they threw him out there on an island. He wasn't getting any help from any tight ends, which was weird to me. I would have figured you'd want Mercedes Lewis next to him for his first game, just to give him that little bit of extra help.
I feel like Mercedes Lewis play I don't
remember seeing him.
I don't remember seeing him at all. Like a single. I mean, he probably played at least a snap. But I don't remember seeing him
He might have been on special teams, but I don't remember seeing him on offense, which is so weird. Like, I get it, you want to spread things out a little bit, but there were so many plays where you were just leaving Cole in to block, and as much as I love Cole, Mercedes Lewis is better. Although, I guess, you can throw out that that's a tell, so I guess that's kind of the reasoning there. But, I don't know, I still would have liked this. I still would have just liked to see Darnell Wright get any help, like a chip block even. Just anything when he was going up against Gary, because leaving a rookie on an island with, like I said early on, one of the 5 best pass rushers in football, it's not a good recipe. It's a recipe for disaster. And we saw it, point blank period.
There was one thing from the film breakdown on Twitter I saw that Getsy was really weird with some of his play designs. Like there was times whenever Kmet was lined up like he was going to run a route, but then also, instead of running a route, just blocked from that stance, which kind of made it like a chip, but it was he was set up out of position already. He was
asking a tight end to reach block, yeah.
Yeah, it didn't work well, and then there were times whenever there was 2 receivers on one side who ran literally the exact same route, which whenever you're like setting up a play or designing a play, even if like the route the receiver runs doesn't get them open, it's still designed that whatever it does, it either like, shifts the defense to open up another route or something along those lines. Like every route has a meaning to either get someone open or get open yourself. And I feel like his routes are just like, hey, everybody run the same thing. Then when you all run the same thing, that it there's no like fluidity, if that, I don't know if that's a word. There's no fluidity to the play, and it just doesn't work. And I feel like there was a lot of that in the game, and I think that was probably one of the biggest like mess ups from Getsy's play calling, was just, which is a pretty bad one when it's the entire play itself. But it just, you got to adjust from that, because that's not how you go about it.
Yeah, I mean, there were a lot of plays, specifically with Komet, like you mentioned, Jarrett, where you guys know he's my favorite player on this team. I love the man dearly. And I'm not here saying he had no fault. He played a really bad game on his own end, and that's a whole other conversation for another time, just because of how there was no fucking effort on his end. But there were a lot of plays where Getsy put him in really weird situations, like that one play that Jarrett's mentioning, where I don't think I've ever seen a tight end be asked to reach block on an edge rusher. That's insanity. That's not a normal thing. That's not okay. And I get it. Cole's a great blocker, but there's a lot of guards in the league to this day that struggle to reach block. Why are we asking our tight end to do it? And then he did the same thing to Darnell Wright a few times, where you're asking him to reach block on a defensive tackle that's crashing down with no help. It's so weird. It doesn't make any sense. And then if we're talking about weird blocking, the play that got me the most was when Justin ran like a bootleg almost, and he had Braxton Jones pull all the way across the line as a lead blocker on a passing play. What the fuck are we doing? Why are we pulling tackles on passing plays? This isn't fucking create a play on Madden where you do goofy shit and you're trying to make your buddy laugh. This is the NFL. This is real life. You're taking your best pass blocker out of pass pro to lead block on a fucking passing play?
Mm-hmm.
I can't even fathom how he came up with that. Like, what was was Braxton just in the room and he's like, "Hey coach, I want to run a little bit." And he's like, Okay, I see where you're going with it. And he's like, "Yeah, I wanna pull on a run play." And he's like, Nah, I got a better idea. How about a passing play? And Justin just overheard it in the other room and started silently crying because he knew what would ensue. Which, ironically, Justin made the play work. I think that's the play where he hit Mooney like 15 yards downfield, if I'm not mistaken. But he made the play work despite that being the goofiest fucking pass blocking design I have ever seen.
What percentage of you guys do you think that Getsy is just a double agent sent by the Packers to fuck us up?
No.
Did you hear anything I said?
No, I did, but no.
Oh. And I had a little bit like, Getsy's just fucking us up because he's...
No, I think he's just like partly a moron. I think that's the better
that could be
explanation.
Yeah. I lean towards people being stupid more than I lean towards them being malicious.
Yeah, that's usually the case, and it is with him here. I've forced myself to come around on him after meeting you guys last year. I'm back out immediately. I was never in on him. I just there's no creativity. There's no. It bugs me the most when you don't use the strengths of your players. Mm-hmm. It's like we're living through Matt Nagy all over again, right? Like you guys were saying. And that's what bugs me so much, because I hated Matt Nagy with a fiery, burning passion. And I just can't live through that again.
Yeah. I think there's creativity. It's just not good creativity. This is like green is not a creative color from To Hug Me, I'm Scared. Like, this is green. Yeah. Matt Nagy, not Matt Nagy. Oh my god, I hate my life.
See?
Luke Getsy's play calling is just green. It's creative, just not the good type of creative.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, prime example, pulling a left tackle on a passing play.
You know what makes me more mad is that I took a bet, and I was like, hey, I think that they're going to use Justin Fields as a runner because he's really good at that. He can throw a deep bomb all day, but man is dynamic on the run. I'm like, he's gonna run over 60 yards, and I took the over. He was 1 fucking yard off, and that's what even makes me more pissed off is that they lost, first of all, but also lost while not using Justin as in his most dynamic area, where he had to scramble to get those yards that almost went my back.
I think I remember the announcer saying his first QB run was like the end of the third quarter.
Yeah.
The beginning of the fourth, one of those two, which is just, how did it, when clearly the game plan wasn't working at that point, how did it take so long? And how was that not a part of the game plan in the first place? Doesn't make sense.
I would have loved if they just said, hey, we're going to run this play called Fuck It, DJ or Darnold is down there somewhere. And just said,
Darnold.
I was trying to run past it. I was trying to walk past it. Darnold, if just like toss it deep to Darnell or toss it deep to DJ, just send both on streaks.
Honestly, with how our offense was, that probably would have been better than some of the things we saw.
That's what I'm saying.
What my biggest fear, honestly, which again, maybe I'm just like a pessimistic person because of all of the years of terrible Bears teams we've had and bad quarterbacks. I really don't want, like, Justin Fields is the most talented quarterback we've ever had, and it's not even close or up for discussion. Dude is insanely talented, and I'm horrified that they're going to ruin him. Listen, you were worried about my well-being before. If the Bears team ruins Justin Fields, I won't even be able to be on this podcast anymore. I won't exist. All right, this is my last hope for sanity. Is the one talented quarterback we've had in this organization? They don't fuck it up, and he actually, gets to play to his strengths and be the great quarterback I know he can be. Like, I'm so scared. I'm basically petrified at this point that they're going to ruin him somehow, even though it's. With how talented he is, it shouldn't be a scenario, but he should be further developed in some areas than he is currently, which I'm not going to sit and hate on Justin Fields. I think his situation obviously has a lot to do with that, but I feel like there's a coaching error somewhere in here, and it's definitely getting to the point where I'm getting a little scared.
Yeah, I was just getting ready to say, we can't, as much as I hate to say it, we can't sit here and act like none of it's on him. There were a lot of plays last week where, he'd have a guy open 15 yards downfield and he took the check down, which super uncharacteristic of him. There were a lot of guys who had really uncharacteristic games. And I'm hoping the issue there was just, an overemphasis in the offseason on taking the check down and being conservative and not taking unnecessary shots. I'm hoping that's the case. But if it's not, and we're dealing with either Justin's not seeing it, or he's not trusting himself, or he's not trusting his receivers, then that worries me. Because there were, I think there was one example on Sunday where he, legitimately threw with anticipation. And if you're an NFL quarterback, you need to throw with anticipation. You can't, just throw as soon as the guy's butt naked wide open, because that's not going to happen every single time you drop back. You're not always going to get that. Sometimes you have to throw guys open. Sometimes you have to put it where only your guy's going to get it. And we, like I said, haven't seen much of that from him yet. And last year, you could chalk a lot of that up to him not having faith in the receivers, which, sure, I wouldn't have much faith in Dante Pettis and Darius Fountain either. But now that you have DJ Moore, now that Darnell Mooney's healthy, now that Cole Kmet's your third or fourth, or I guess third option, because Claypool isn't an option. It's just a matter of trusting your guys and trusting yourself. And he's never had an issue trusting himself before, and that's why I'm not fully out on him like some Bears fans seem to be, where they're like, "Oh, he's never going to do it. He's never going to get it." Because he's done some of this stuff before. We've seen him do it. We saw him do a little bit of it on Sunday. It's just getting that consistently. And he has all of the tools and, all the things he needs at his disposal to do it consistently. I don't know. I need them to come out on Sunday and drop the first play as 3 guys going downfield and let Justin just rip it, get 10, 15 yards, and then, go from there, right? I'm not saying every play needs to be a shot downfield. This isn't Madden, but you've got to take what they're giving you. And there were plenty of examples of the defense giving Justin Fields, DJ Moore, 10, 15 yards down the field, and he would elect for the check down or run the ball. And I don't know, maybe maybe part of that is just karma coming back to bite us in the ass for calling Kirk Cousins captain checkdown for the past 4 years, and now Justin's going to become that. But it's as much as I hate to say it, it's not all on Getsy. It's not all on the offensive line. It's not all on any of that. Justin played a big role in it as well. Granted, he didn't play like terrible. I thought he had an okay game, but we need more than okay if we're going to stick with him long term.
That's very, very fair analysis there. Yeah.
I want to shine a light on a really the big thing that happened early in the game that I think got everyone of us hyped. Besides, and then the rest of the game happened was I think Justin scrambled out of the pocket, got out, and he got a first down. He was giving himself up on the sideline, and then Jair Alexander pushed him a little too hard than he should have because Justin was giving himself up. Jair's a little bitch. But the way the team came around Justin is, I think, why I think Justin has a future here. And
where was that fire the rest of the game, though?
Because Luke Getsy couldn't call a game. And
it doesn't matter, dude. Listen, I understand that it's deflating to have shitty play calling. You still got to play with energy. You still got to play with fire.
Yeah.
Like Nicole brought up earlier, DJ Moore put it perfectly. Nobody had any juice. And it's like on that play, it's like, holy shit, this team's here. They care. They're trying. There is energy. There is fire. There's something. And it's like they wasted all of that on trying to beat up Jair Alexander, which, like, fair to a certain extent.
Valid.
But also, you gotta leave a little bit in the tank. You can't sit here and run the car all the way out of gas. You got to leave a little bit so you can get back to the station and refuel, and they did it. It's infuriating. Now, I was happy to see everybody stand up for Justin, especially against a bitch like Jair, who I have never liked. He runs his mouth way too much to the point where it's like, dude, maybe back it up, because he'll have those games where he is a total liability at times. Specifically, like in the first half of last year, he looked terrible and had nothing to back it up. He was getting beat constantly. But I don't know. Jair pisses me off, dude. I really can't stand him. So I was glad to see guys go at him, but
he already came out and said something about DJ Moore having a bad game against him, like in the press conference. But I don't remember what the exact quote is, and I'm not, going to look it up
which is funny because DJ didn't have a bad game. He was getting open against Jair. He just wasn't getting the ball.
He only had 2 targets. Like, what is?
Yeah,
and 2 catches. Like, what is he supposed to do?
No, I think some of the players have already talked about it both in press conferences and on Twitter and whatnot about the fact that the team captains need to do a better job of keeping the team.
Don't make Eddie Jackson the team captain, by the way.
I think that was just maybe just because he's been there for so long. But that was a weird one.
No, he's a good leader. I'm just giving him shit.
I don't know about his leadership skills. He just doesn't seem like the type of super energetic person that I look for or I think of when I think of a captain. Given I don't really know anyone else on the defense who would be, but
yeah. See, I hate Eddie Jackson more than most people, but if there's one thing I'll give him credit for, he is a good leader. He's good at getting guys fired up. Every single Bears defensive back I've ever heard talk about Eddie Jackson had nothing but positive things to say about his leadership. I think one of the weird things on the captains, though, and my dad and I were talking about this when they got announced, is making 2 first-year players captains. I get it. DJ Moore and Tremaine Edmonds were big, exciting moves. And, we're not there in the locker room. Maybe they stepped up as leaders really quickly. But it's just not something you see often. Typically captains are guys that have been there for a while, or at least a quarterback, right? Giving it to a first-year wide receiver and a first-year linebacker is an interesting move. And again, like I said, we're not in the locker room. I can't fully judge, but
it seems
who else should they give it to, though?
Cody Whitehair could have been a captain. He's been on this team forever. I'm trying to think who else. Jalen Johnson could have been in contention there. You could have given it to one of the special teams guys, given it to Pat Scales, who's been there forever.
Trenton Gill.
Trenton, sure.
No.
You could have given it to Khalil Herbert, who's been there for a little while now. You could have given it to Cole Kmet. Yeah, there's guys that have been on the team that can get it. And again, that's a weird thing to question is why are you making this guy a captain? Because like I said, we're not in the locker room to know, but I'm just saying it's a non-traditional approach to give it to 2 first year guys on the
It seemed very much like a Madden type of like a Madden user who they would give captain. It's like your quarterback, and then you made these big free agency moves or whatever that the new highest rated players on the team they get to be captain to. That's definitely like just the vibes I get from it.
They gave it to the quarterback, the receiver they're going to spam, their user linebacker, and their safety that gets like 3 picks a game because of the way they run their defense.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Yeah, and I don't think we even got like outplayed that game too, which is also the most frustrating part. I think Jordan Love played like a game manager, like a Jimmy Garoppolo level. Aaron Jones beat the shit out of us. Admittedly, I like Aaron Jones just because of how he runs.
I criticized Aaron Jones one time, and now he's the bane of my existence.
Sounds right. And I mean, I don't think the Packers' defense was that good.
They played lights out, dude. Don't discredit the Packers' defense. They played really good.
No, I'm saying they played all right. I just don't think they were playing. I think we beat ourselves.
Dude, they had the second highest pressure rate across the league. Let's be honest with ourselves. They played lights out. They had a really damn good game.
I didn't see it.
I can see where Grayson's coming from to an extent. I don't know if this is exactly where he was going, but I feel like we were less outplayed, more so outcoached.
That's where I was going. Oh, that's trying to get over there.
Still getting gassed.
I'm not completely downplaying.
With all due respect, this feels like a little bit of Bears fan copium, and I'm not here for
it. Is a little bit.
Credit where credit's due, all right?
But I'm just saying the eye test to me did not seem like they were like beating the shit out of us.
Grayson, you literally wear glasses. Am I supposed to trust your eye test?
I trust my eye test, yeah.
What kind
but
of
you literally wear glasses. Okay, your eyes don't work.
Oh,
your eyes don't work.
My screen is right here. It's right in front of me.
He's making a joke that you're blind, Grayson. Just take it.
I know I'm blind. I'm blind as a bat, okay? But guess what? I can see this far ahead of me.
Kinda.
I just feel like whenever, like in the pregame thing where we talked about their strengths compared to our weaknesses, like we brought up the fact that our offensive line had a lot of question marks on it, and their defensive line is insane. And I think that's exactly what just kind of happened. Was our offensive line was questionable, and their defensive line was insane.
They won in the trenches big time. When I was first watching, like the beginning of the game, it was like after our first drive, field goal failed, 3 and out. Can't quite remember, but the Packers' first drive, it was like hell. Even through the second quarter, it was like Jordan Love was like 3 of 4. He wasn't doing much. It was just Aaron Jones was just crushing us on the ground. They were winning in the trenches, and that's where they were winning big time, front and back, offense and defense. So that to me, Jarrett, like you said, was the biggest difference. Is that's where they're winning, and this is Big Ten football country. You got to win there if you want to win the game, and they were just bullying us. And to the Bears Twitter and the Bears copium thing, like Jordan Love wasn't that impressive. He was fine. He did what he had to do. I don't think he did anything special. He had a couple very nice passes, but we were just giving him so much. I think it's hard to really get a gauge on how good he actually was because we were just giving him open receivers the whole time. And Aaron Jones was making us play to the run, which even then, we, like you said, Miller, we weren't aggressive in that either. So we beat ourselves to a point, but, I shouldn't say beat ourselves. We did. We didn't help ourselves. The Packers were beating us, and we didn't help ourselves at all.
Yeah. And, to speak to your point about Jordan Love, I agree 100%. Like, he really didn't do anything spectacular. He didn't do anything game-changing. He didn't make any, like, holy shit, how do you do that type of throws? Mm-hmm. Brett Coleman put it perfectly. I've been running with this ever since I heard it. He said that Jordan Love drove the bus. And that's all he did. He did just enough, right? He took what the defense gave him, like Nicole said. He made the plays that he had to, but he didn't do anything to elevate his team. He was elevated by Aaron Jones and, having 72 years per drop back in the pocket and our defensive secondary just being totally out of sorts. Mm-hmm. And there's nothing wrong with that. That's not even me taking a shot at Jordan Love. Like, for a guy making, his third career start, that's about as good as it gets. That's awesome. Like, he's not somebody with insane athletic tools, so he's not going to be like Anthony Richardson or Justin Fields or someone like that and break off a long run, or, he doesn't have he has a pretty good arm, but he doesn't have like an all-time generational arm, so he's not going to be hitting 80-yard throws like it's nothing. Mm-hmm. He sat in the pocket, he took what the defense gave him, and he played well. That's all you can ask from a guy like that. So us saying that isn't even really a shot at Love. It's just he looked like a guy in his third game, and that's fine. But it blows my mind. Nicole brought up the run defense, and I'm going to keep bringing this up because it pisses me off. I really cannot believe how many people are trying to point fingers at the linebacking core for this game. Because in run defense, Tremaine Edmonds looked awesome. He had, 2 TFLs, had 10 or so tackles, and had a couple really nice stops. Andrew Billings was having his way with the Packers' interior line on run plays. TJ Edwards played pretty okay.
Even Yannick played good run defense.
Yeah, Yannick had a sick TFL, which I wouldn't get used to if you're a Bears fan, but he did have one. So that's awesome. Like, the run defense, for the most part, looked pretty good. It's just the passing game. And, another play that people are pointing at with the linebackers, the touchdown that Aaron Jones had on, 4th and 3, I think, where he ran an option route. That play has been so misread by the internet that it's not funny. Clearly that team, we were sitting in, I think it was either, hold on, let me think about this. We were sitting in man coverage with Tremaine Edmonds in a zone, right? Mm-hmm. And it was very obvious that Tremaine Edmonds' assignment was to cover the flat on the other side of the field. Because if you watch his eyes and you watch his head, he looks at Jordan Love, he's watching Jordan Love's eyes, and he never turns his head towards the side that TJ Edwards is on. Mm-hmm. Whatever his assignment was, he had no interest and no reason to look to that side of the field. Mm-hmm. So instead, you leave TJ Edwards on an island with one of the best running backs in football. Edwards bites the flat, he cuts it inside as a Texas route, gets wide open. That's going to happen. It sucks. We just ran the wrong type of defense and the wrong coverage against the wrong type of play, and they took advantage. That wasn't busted coverage by the linebackers. That wasn't the linebackers playing like shit. If anything, it was TJ Edwards getting slightly aggressive, and then Tremaine Edmonds not being told that that's where he needs to be. Mm-hmm. Now, I know some people look at that and be like, well, he needs to have his head on a swivel. He's a linebacker. He's not Jesus H. Christ. Okay, he's not going to do everything. He doesn't have eyes in the back of his head. He's not Fred Warner. Fred Warner would probably make that play. But Tremaine Edmonds is coming off his best season in coverage after struggling for the first 2 years of his career. The first few years of his career, excuse me. Mm-hmm. He's finally starting to get in the groove of things. So yeah, there's going to be plays where maybe he's not in position to make a superhuman play, but he did what he had to. He played his zone, and that's what he's supposed to do. I don't see the issue in a guy doing his job and the offense just taking advantage of a mismatch. That happens. That's football. I don't get it. It's insane to me.
Yeah, I completely agree. I want to shift over since we're almost an hour in because we do have a game coming up against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and Big Dick Baker. You guys know I love Baker, and they have a rookie UDFA that I love, Sean Tucker, but we have both men taking off there. Okay, but I think this is a real testament of how the season's going to go because the Buccaneers are in a weak conference. They are trying to maybe fight for a spot that are maybe in the Caleb sweepstakes. We don't even know. They beat the Vikings, which if we can beat the Buccaneers, it gives me a lot of confidence going against the Vikings later in the year. Just because, I know it's week 1, but it gives me confidence at least a little bit. But what do we think going into this game? How do you think we're going to fare? And do you think we can contain this Tampa offense and contain Shaq Barrett?
So, I think the big thing this week is just not looking as sloppy as we did last week. Mm-hmm. I know a lot of people are hyping up this game. I don't see it as a must-win or anything. Yeah, you should probably win it, but it's not the season's over if you lose. The season's over if you come out and look the way you did last week.
Yeah.
But I don't think that's going to happen. I'm sure they're going to make the necessary adjustments and whatnot. Maybe that's me being overly optimistic. I don't care. I don't have it in me to be a pessimist and just be like, everything sucks. The Bears suck. I want everybody fired. I don't have that in me until I am pushed to my absolute breaking point. And I have seen that in my life twice with the Trestman regime and the Nagy regime, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm not there yet with this group. I'm not like that yet. Now, Williams, maybe. But I think as long as we play a clean game, we should be mostly fine. And then as for Shaq Barrett specifically, I'm not super worried about. Like, much love to the guy. I don't understand how he's still on this planet, let alone still playing football after what happened to him this offseason. Like, it's insane to be able to go out there and play football after, having a young child pass away during the offseason. So major props to him. But the reality of the situation with him as a player is he's coming off. I think he had an okay season last year, but he's been dealing with injuries. He's not getting any younger. So I'm not super worried about him. The Buccaneers don't have any one pass rusher that I'm super worried about. Running between the tackles isn't going to happen this week.
Peter Bear, yeah.
Yeah, but other than that, the Bucs defense doesn't keep me up at night. I think the Packers have a better defense than the Bucs do. So especially in the secondary with the corners. So I think this will be a good week for Fields to try some things and try to stretch the field a little bit. But I don't know. We could lose this game and I would still feel good if we don't look as just fucking messy as we did last week.
If you keep it close, I'll be happy at least.
I don't even need to keep it close. I just need it to not be messy.
I can't handle another blowout. I can't. We're almost a year into our last, we're almost a year since our last win. If we go a year,
games.
I might lose my fucking mind, and I cannot deal with a blowout in between the time. If we lose close games, I'm going to be okay, whatever, we lost, but, it would look good. But I can't do another blowout.
Oh, no. All I'm saying is it took Minnesota shooting themselves in the foot approximately 15 times for the Buccaneers to beat them by 3, so...
No, it's just Baker and the dog in him.
Okay,
No.
See, my thing with the Buccaneers is, they're on defensively, they're very aggressive. I think that's a known thing. Todd Bowles loves to blitz. So we have to, as long as we can, that's easier said than done. I'm saying this it's as easy, it's black and white, easy as, just don't let them blitz and we're fine. But as long as
simply don't allow them.
Yeah, exactly. But as long as we don't let the blitz affect us too much, let Justin play to his strengths, I think our offense will be fine. As for defensively, yes, we Kyler Gordon was placed on IR today, which makes me so very sad because last episode I said he's going to be having a borderline All-Pro season, and then he immediately died. So
the breakout's going to go crazy when his hand's healed. Don't worry about it.
I've decided I'm never complimenting anyone ever again, or else they're going to get injured or leave the team. So
they just need to give him the club. I think that's what they need to do. Just give him the club.
Sure, let's give a corner who's relying on his hands a club and see how that functions.
Same punch someone in the face, yeah.
But anyways, defensively, Kyler Gordon being out, yes, that's honestly a huge loss. I'm a big Kyler Gordon fan, and I was thinking he was going to have a breakout season, obviously. But for their offensive line is shaky. It's not great. It's not bad. It's just kind of somewhere in the middle, I guess. Grayson, you're going to hate this. Baker Mayfield's a shit quarterback. Dude is not good, which I think is an advantage for our team. He does have those, random good plays. I will say it was pretty cool with the whole, get your weight up, boy or son or whatever the hell he called him. It's a cool moment. Still a shit quarterback. I think it's an advantage for our defense, given our pass rush. We have to do something, get creative somehow, we can't have the least amount of pressure every single week. We got to do something. Get Baker shook. He'll make mistakes. He's a very turnover-prone quarterback. He also isn't the most accurate quarterback, as we all know. So I think it'll be probably... I don't think it'll be a blowout either way. I don't think the Buccaneers are that bad. I think they're coached really well defensively. I just think that Baker definitely holds them back on offense, despite the weapons that they have on offense. So I think it'll be close either way, no matter who wins. It's an interesting matchup, to say the least.
I agree with that, and as long as it's I can't take another blowout either. Because to me that means it looked messy, probably, right? Last time when we were in Tampa, it was pretty messy. It was pretty bad. Just don't do that. It is really all I have to say on that end. But I think with Tampa, it is an interesting matchup because it's kind of they have a little bit more age on us. They have a little more experience on us. But they don't exactly. I don't think they have the coaching. I really wanted Todd Bowles to be it, but he's not. And Baker's a hard-nosed dude, right? Like he's gonna fight for everything. But if you pressure him, you make him throw the ball before he wants to. To your point, Jarrett, like he's gonna turn the ball over. That's just make him throw the ball before he wants to. Actually, bring pressure. Even just semi-good coverage. Don't let Mike Evans get up there for 50-50 balls because Baker can throw those quite well. Mike Evans can catch those quite well. Just don't let them do that. You take away like half of their offense. The run game hasn't gotten started, so I think we're better on that end compared to last week. Thank goodness. Even though Rashad White's a Sun Devil, so he's my guy. But
I'm sorry, Andrew Billings has to eat his lunch this week.
I know, but they haven't. It's surprising that they didn't get that going, and that Baker was really the rock of their offense. And like Baker, I think that the offense is going to go like Baker, inconsistent. Right? We saw what they did last week. It's not going to be the same this week. But you don't give them time to throw. You stop the run, which hasn't really started. And if Justin Fields can step up in the pocket and either run or throw, I don't care which, because I think the Bucs are going to set the edge pretty well. But if he can step up in the pocket and throw with conviction, like we're cooking. We're cooking with gas. We're going to score maybe 30 points, which would be great. Which would be very cool. I was going to say 20, but we did that last week. But back to Justin and last week a little bit, going into this week. He's grown since his rookie year, right? A lot. He still does the thing where it was a Quay Walker interception, right? He was staring down a receiver the entire time, which is still a rarity for him, but he was doing that. And he's acting like I shouldn't say acting. He's waiting for his guys to get, as I say, Ohio State open, right? He had 5-star receivers on the bench at Ohio State because of other 5-star receivers that were starting. Like, they're not going to get that open, right? The coverage is better. The receivers are, I don't know if they're better, but especially the Justin's rookie year. But like you said, Miller, earlier, you got to throw with the anticipation. You can't wait for them to get open. They're not going to. Know your guys' routes. Know where there's a break in the defense. And that's reading the defense too, right? It's a lot harder in the NFL than it is in college. Especially when your guys are going to do a lot of the heavy lifting at Ohio State with his receivers, right? I'm not saying this isn't the Michigan in me saying he was bad at Ohio State. But you can't lie his receivers. Like, come on. Marvin Harrison Jr. and Emeka Egbuka, oh my God, are going to do a lot of Kyle McCord's heavy lifting, right? They've done it for years. They're just that good. And that's a credit for them. It's just not that way in Chicago.
Sadly. Maybe we'll get one in the draft. I think we can score one in the draft with our picks.
At least if we're bad enough, we can get Marvin Harrison Jr., and that's a positive. So there's always positives in football.
I like Emeka too. Emeka's great.
I just want to throw out there, I saw a tweet the other day that the Bears are, I want to say they've been outscored 110-20 in their last 3 games against Tampa.
Yeah.
I see that, and all I see is we're due.
For 80-point game.
We're due.
The comeback
We're going to
is
get
on.
ours. Listen, we are so back against Tampa. Okay, I forget what happened in week 1. I don't know. Was there a football game played yet? This is week 1. That was week 0. That's not real football.
I'm gonna be honest.
4th week of the preseason.
Miller's positivity definitely rubs off. Like it gets me more hyped than I was, and like all he is saying is we're back with no context. I would be very happy.
Like the way I see it, it physically cannot get worse. We were humiliated at home.
Seems like it.
Humiliated at home by a division rival, and everything was sloppy.
Well, I will say so that the game last week, I think the only point where I was like lower after a game in the entire like tenure of the like me being a Bears fan, maybe other than like the double doink, but I'm not going to count that, was like I think it was like 2011 or 2012. We played against the Patriots in like a snow game, and Tom Brady bent us over. Like he literally broke Urlacher's ankles. It was something like that. Like he broke Urlacher's ankles. He juked out Urlacher. That was it was. I remember watching that game, and that was like one of the earlier games. I don't remember if it was the noon one or like the second round of games. I turned the game off like in the middle of the fourth quarter and literally went to sleep. I was like, I can't do this anymore. That's it for me today. I'm sleeping this off. And that was kind of what level I was at last week. After that game was just kind of like I wanted to sleep until I feel better because this ain't it right now.
Oh, dude, I hopped off that game and went and turned on Baldur's Gate and started playing in a fantasy land where the Bears can't hurt me there. And then, ironically, I ran into a motherfucker who had disguised himself as a bear. So I had to turn off Baldur's Gate because it was too much of a sign. I can't escape. I really can't.
I wasn't even planning to drink this weekend. I was planning to have like a nice, calm, sober weekend. I drank after that game. Like,
must be nice.
Shout out Dan Feeney and the margaritas.
Let's go. I should have gotten a margarita just for the occasion.
That's the thing. Get a margarita for the Sunday game.
I work.
Work isn't real.
Yeah,
it's a figment of your imagination.
You don't need an income. You don't need a home. The streets are nice this time of year.
Miller. Chase Claypool deserves it in the streets.
Oh yeah, since we were shitting on Chase Claypool, I think another person who needs to get shit on is Nate Davis. I just thought we should...
Oh my fucking god! I
disagree.
Don't disagree. No.
Bro,
I was angry.
His blocking. His blocking was horrid. He tried to block with his shoulder. You pointed that
out. Make me feel better.
Listen.
Go.
Okay. Nate Davis played on Sunday like a guy who didn't practice all offseason.
Bullshit.
And that's what he was.
I mean, that's fair.
He didn't practice all offseason. Yeah, and I feel like a lot of people have forgotten that it's not because he's lazy or because he's an issue in the locker room. He is, though. Dude had stuff going on. Dude had life happening. And I'm a firm believer. Life over ball, right? That matters more. Whatever he was dealing with, which thankfully is not public. I'm very glad that no one's tried to expose him or put anything out. It's just he was dealing with some life shit, so he didn't get to practice. And he looked like a guy on Sunday who didn't get to practice. I disagree with the whole he didn't play with any power thing. That was like one of the things that stood out where he was actually good was he was playing with power. He just wasn't, he clearly wasn't conditioned where he needed to be, and he was sloppy. Now, he didn't have nearly as bad of a game as a lot of people tried to make it out to be. I want to say it was PFF credited him with like 9 pressures. That's bullshit. He had like 4. Still not great, but there's a big gap between 9 and 4, right? 9 is like Sam Mustipher. 4 is like bad game for an average guard, right? So I'm not like super worried about Nate Davis. I think Homie's going to get his shit right. I think this week is big for him conditioning wise and getting more acclimated with everything going on. It's like I said with the secondary. Chemistry matters up front. And Nate Davis missing all of the offseason. He didn't get to build a rapport with Lucas Patrick or Cody Whitehair or Darnell Wright or Braxton Jones. Even though with Braxton it doesn't really matter because that's the whole other side of the line. But like he didn't get to build anything with them. So he was just kind of out there throwing himself around. And yeah, he had some plays where he got embarrassed. But again, that was the first time he'd been on a football field in months. It's not great, but I don't think that's going to be like a consistent theme with him.
This is kind of off topic, but every time I think of Nate Davis, I'm sure you all saw it on Twitter. One of those like fake like news accounts, like the I can't even think of their names, like MFL or something like that.
Don't say their names. We know what they are.
I don't
give them airtime.
The one of them made up this like fanfic thing about how Nate Davis like was mad at Eberflus for like the conditioning or something, and so went away from the team, and they went out to dinner to make up, and then like they it was something to do with like fucking crab cakes or some shit was what they used to like bond over. It was like this thing was like paragraphs long, and everyone's like, "What the fuck are you even talking about? None of this is even true."
Right. There was
bro made a fanfic over it,
Mhm.
and that's
I
all I ever
remember
think about.
Somebody posted, I can't remember if it was a picture or a video of Nate Davis, like one of the last practices that he wasn't at. You know, people were like, where the fuck's... This was when the Nate Davis, like, where's he at, was at its peak, right?
Mm-hmm.
And there was a moment where he walked into practice. He didn't have his pads on or anything, but he kind of, like, quietly walked on the field, walked over to Eberflus. They had a conversation, hugged, and then Nate Davis left, which was clearly him being like, hey, coach, I'm sorry, I gotta run. There's something going on. I can't be here, right?
Mm-hmm.
Which, by the way, above all else, I hope everything's okay with him.
Yeah.
I hope whatever was hounding him all offseason has either gotten sorted out or is getting sorted out. Because if it's keeping him away from football that long, surely it has to be something really stressful and really unfortunate.
Mm-hmm.
But I remember I saw that, and I was like, okay, surely this means that people will be understanding and know that there's something going on with Nate Davis. And after that, it was just more of, cut Nate Davis, get him the fuck out of here, sign Dalton Risner, terminate him like we terminated Dylan Cole, just this, that, and the other. Like, come on, dude. Like, I don't know Eberflus personally, obviously, but he didn't seem like a hugger. I think if he's hugging a player, that means that there's, you know, that they really had a moment. You know, there was really something there. Like, that was really a moment of understanding between coach and player. And maybe I'm misreading that, and Matt Eberflus is a major hugger, which would be a great development. But it really upsets me to see how people have treated him so far. And I really want him more than most people to just prove Chicago wrong and just like lay somebody the fuck out next week. Like if he could just run up and smack Devin White in the mouth, that would be sick.
Dude, lay out
Devin White
Vita
in
and
particular.
I'm on his side. If he lays out Vita Vea, I'm immediately
Okay, well that's
it's not going to happen.
Human task.
Vita Vea
That's
is
not
like
fair.
a bowling ball of a person, bro. You can't.
I'm
move him.
saying instantly, like 100%.
That's essentially asking him to recreate David and Goliath, dude.
And you know what? I like my Davids. I don't like my Goliath. So like, I'm 100% with that.
I don't feel comfortable here anymore.
Shut up, David.
I don't like the way you said
I will
that.
say though, it is important to remember these players are human, right?
Precisely.
Like life over ball, except for Chase Claypool. Fuck him.
What's not even life over ball? It's fucking Paris fashion shows over ball. Like that's inexcusable.
Give a damn on the field, please.
Right. Which, speaking of which, apparently, I always forget how to pronounce his name. I forget if it's Tyke or Tyke Tolbert, the wide receivers coach.
Yeah.
He apparently said that Claypool's been the first guy into team meetings every day this week and has been showing crazy hustle in practice, which, like, sick. Don't care. Do it on the fucking field, maybe, and then we'll care. Like, it's so funny. There's actually brewing on Twitter right now. Bears page, like big Bears pages. It started with Aaron Lemming, if you guys know who he is, and then Rashab, to Windy City Productions, and then some other guy I saw did it. They're all like putting up wagers on Claypool's receiving yards, where they're like, for every yard that Claypool gets, I'm going to donate $2 to this animal charity that Aaron Lemming is promoting. And then this other guy came in and he's like, I'll do the same thing, but also if he scores a touchdown, I'll donate $10. And of course, they're being cool about it too. And they're like, if he doesn't do anything, I'll still donate like $50. But
I was gonna say,
like, yeah, like that's where we're at. Where people are like trying to motivate Chase Claypool to be like, hey, buddy, listen, if you do good, dogs in an animal shelter are going to get help. There are stakes now. If you don't want to do it for yourself, do it for Fido. Okay. If Claypool fails us this week with that on the line, it's over for him. I will not be able to stand it any longer, and I will have to step in.
See, this kind of reminds me of a personal story. So in like I graduated 2018. So it was like the 2018 like Final Four for college basketball. That's so when I graduated. Like my buddy, he went to when we moved to College Station. Like the apartment he went in for signing the lease, like gave him 2 free tickets, so we got to go because it was in San Antonio that year. And at halftime of one of the games, like we went to like the outside area, and they had this thing where you could shoot free throws, and for every free throw you make, you get it's like $1 or $10 or something to whatever the charity was, and you got to do it for free or whatever. You had like a free chance, and if you like hit a certain thing, you would get like a T-shirt or an iPhone charger or some shit like that. And then he goes up. He's a much better free throw shooter than me. I will let that be known. He hit you had a minute, and he hit 12 or 13 or something, which I think the record was 16. Yes, much better than me. I sucked at free throws, so obviously it was not going to go well for me. I hit 2 in a minute. Quite embarrassing, yeah. I'm a good basketball player, but free throw is not my thing. So instead of being
you're the worst type of basketball player, then.
Yeah,
no fundamentals, no heart, no grit, no intensity.
No, I have all of that, just no free throws. I played great defense, rebounding, and I could score in the post, but I got nothing with range. But anyways, so instead of being a rational person, just being you only scored 2 and then leaving it at that. No, my buddy decided to yell at the top of his lungs, "This guy hates charity!" And then just completely kept repeating that the entire time we were at the outside area. So I think if Claypool does not, get enough of this money for these charities, we should give him the same treatment.
Yeah, no, like I said, I stand by it. If he doesn't have a good game this week, I'm going to have to take matters into my own hands. And nobody wants to see that.
What does that mean?
He's going to travel to Chicago and beat the shit out of Chase Claypool.
You will see. I'll put it this way. Let's hope you don't have to find out.
No, I kind of want to find out now.
Let's hope you don't have to.
Can we just bench him and put Tyler Scott there instead?
I mean, honestly. Also, on a positive note, guys, so I did decide to bench Justin Fields in fantasy football. He's going off. That's all we needed was me to not play him.
That's valid.
If he plays good this week, you have to trade him away.
No, listen. Last year whenever he had that breakout, so I got him late, and I had played him because I was I have hope for Fields, and he wasn't doing anything. So I'm okay, bottom of my bench, whatever. And when I did that was whenever he had the breakout game against Miami, and I just kept him on the bench the whole time because I'm this is what it is, and so I'm keeping him on the bench. Bro is riding the pine. Yeah.
Oh, God.
Back to Justin Fields for a sec, though. When we were talking about him not rushing, I looked up because I was curious because I was thinking to myself, the Chicago Bears, were not historically good QBs, right? Well known, don't have a 4,000-yard passer. Even less so rushing QBs, right? Which is, to its credit, fairly new, right?
Come on, Jay Cutler was a gazelle.
Threat, it's only with more than one, it's 10 years old with dual threat quarterbacks. But do you want to take a random guess at the most QB rushing yards by a Chicago Bears player?
Career
in general?
Or in a season?
Career.
Well, it'd be Peyton, right?
No, by a QB.
Grayson.
I'm fucking stupid.
Was that your guess?
I was gonna say is
by a
QB. Is it Patty Driscoll? It's not Fields already, is it?
No, but so he's second. Do you want to take here? Let's start here. Who did he just pass this last game, career-wise?
This last game, probably Mitch.
Yeah,
I don't.
He got to second on the list with this past game, bumping to third. You won't guess the first guy. You could guess the third guy.
Harbaugh.
Did you just call him Harbaugh?
Yeah, I said Harbaugh. Sorry, I was thinking. I was thinking
you
the spelling
fucking
of Harbaugh. I was thinking the spelling. There's a G there, so it always fucks me up. So I always say Harbaugh.
Fucking fully aware. You don't pronounce the G.
I know. Shut up. Well, Harbaugh had more rushing yards than fucking Bo Jackson in his career. So
yeah, which is so weird.
Yeah, he is third. So Harbaugh in his career was 1609. Fields just passed him with 1622 in his career so far.
I feel like
who's first? Who is
Miller's
the Bears
gotta
player?
guess this. Where's the old bitches?
The Bears QB with the most.
Yeah.
Please tell me that it's not Jay.
Oh my, no, it's definitely not. Bobby Douglas.
You're correct.
Look at you. I know David knows the old people better than I do.
I'm 95% sure
I know
Fields broke one of his records last year. That's the only.
I think he did because the name sounds familiar.
Yes, in 61 games played and on 373 attempts, 2,470 rushing yards. Fields does average more yards per carry. Fields is 6.7. Douglas was 6.6. Back in the year of our Lord, 1970s, but Bobby Douglas was running it all over the place.
Real football.
Real football. He
Love
had
it.
40.5 rushing yards per game, dude. 20 rushing
like
touchdowns. He's just like that, apparently.
Yeah, Randall Cunningham, who? Don't need
Bobby
him.
Douglas played in the 70s, you said?
Yeah.
Yes.
Damn.
So with Chicago, he was 69 to 74.
Nice.
So wait, how many yards is Fields behind him?
600?
You're gonna make me do math.
Well, you don't have to do math. Just give me the two numbers. I can get a
Okay,
range
Douglas
in my brain.
had 2,470.
Okay.
Fields currently has 1,622.
So like
Okay.
800.
Okay.
Fields breaking up here.
He could. Like,
I want him to let him get 4K. That's all I need. He says he's gonna do it. I need him to do it. Just not
we
Chase
do need
Kid.
a 4K passer more than
Yeah.
we need a leading QB rusher, to be fair.
Please.
Speaking of passing, we got another Claypool tweet.
Oh
No.
boy.
Cole Kmet went on ESPN 1000 Bears Weekly and said that wide receiver Chase Claypool was frustrated with the way he played against the Packers and is looking forward to bouncing back on Sunday. Quote, "No one wants to win more than Chase."
Cole, stop making your teammates look better than they are. Cole's just being
Listen.
a nice guy.
Cole, I love you. You don't have to lie for your friend. I get that you guys went to Notre Dame together. You were number 84 and 85. You don't have to lie. It's okay. Or actually, no, it was 84 and 83. Sorry, but you don't have to lie. We know. We saw the game. But I'd love to be wrong.
Who knows? Maybe Claypool will shut us all up next week. There's a
I'd
chance.
love that.
I hope
love
he
that.
does.
Give
I've
me.
never
I
wanted to be
prefer to be
more in my
wrong
life.
about players sucking. I prefer it.
Mhm.
Um,
See, what we need is to trade for Greg Dortch. That's the solution to all of our
That's what we
problems.
need to do. Yeah.
Also, can I
That's
have
it.
a quick timeout? Grayson, what jersey are you wearing right now?
Oh, I don't know. It's just the orange.
Okay. I just saw the one, and I thought it was a Mitch jersey, and I'm like, not
No,
the
my Mitch is the throwbacks with like the stripes and shit.
because
Speaking
I have
of
that
Mitch-
jersey, but Mitch, and that's why
I just want to throw it out there. If you're somebody that in the past week has said that Mitch Trubisky was better than Justin Fields, please
Give me
fall off
names.
the face
Give
of
me
the
names.
earth.
Give me names.
Seek
Give me
help.
names.
Find God.
Yeah.
Give me names.
Justin Fields in his current state is better than Trubisky ever was. It's not even close. You put this Fields on the 2018 Bears, they have the same exact season, if not a little bit better. They might,
We win the Super Bowl.
well, I'll say this. We win one more regular season game, which takes us out of playing Philly in the playoffs, and then we go to the Super Bowl and win it all. And epic.
We repeat the
Vic
85
Fangio
Bears. We win
gets his
45 to
we
10.
win every Super Bowl from then on afterwards.
It was
because
46 to
it
10, by
becomes
the way.
a lot.
It was 46. Okay, I was one number off. Okay, I'm dyslexic apparently.
Get good.
We're talking numbers.
Yeah. One last thing I want to touch on before we end this episode. We are wearing what I like to call the Orange Crush uniforms with the orange helmet.
Don't call them that.
They're Orange Crush.
No,
Orange
they're
Crush.
not.
They're
The Orange
fancy
Crush is
orange.
the Denver. Dude, the Orange Crush is Denver Broncos. You cannot take that from
We
them.
still have the same orange, the same color.
Okay, we don't copy. Okay, but we're not copying people. We don't copy people. Don't do that.
The Ravens don't
Okay.
call themselves the Purple People Eaters, bro.
Right,
We should.
exactly. It's something original.
Such a,
sorry,
that's such a
we're
dope
wearing the
nickname, by the way.
Fanta fucking jerseys in the helmet.
You just did a
That's
different
fucking
brand of orange soda. The sun-kissed
It's fucking
orange.
orange. Hey, Sunkiss goes hard.
Bro, orange soda is my favorite thing ever. It's
How
so
do
good.
you guys feel about it? I know we're literally defeated wearing those. So how do you guys feel about walking into Tampa wearing those?
Okay, as
Throw
David
them out
said,
and bring back the jerseys that you wear or that you're wearing.
well,
Yeah.
that too, but also I'm going to point out, listen, we haven't won a game in these jerseys. We're down 108 to 20 against Tampa. We're due for both.
We're so back.
Yeah, we're back. David was
We're
right.
so back.
This is how we get into our copium at the end of every week. It's just like
Hold
we're gonna
on,
win
hold on.
every fucking game.
Below, we're back committee. I would like to file a claim. It's over for Tampa.
I will say I'm in the minority. I like the orange helmets just because like no other team has it. right? That's what I hated when the Colts introduced their black helmets. It's like everyone's done that. The Eagles are the worst offender of that because it's midnight green, right?
It's basically black, yeah.
It's as close to black as you can for a shade of green, right? They're the worst offenders. I like orange because it's different. I will say, having seen people pointed it out, I do miss the orange jerseys with the navy helmet because that was just a classic look. I like them though. I hope we can win in them. I'd prefer to bring the throwback you're wearing back, but I like them.
I really like them too, honestly.
I do too. I like the orange a lot. It's just the throwback that Grayson has on is like peak. That's
my favorite jersey that they've ever had.
Yeah.
But the thing with like the orange jersey that I like about them so much is, when they were announced last year, whenever I went to the Bears game, I went specifically for that. I also have like the little helmet in the background. Yeah. The very first time they ever wore those jerseys, I was at that game, so it has a special place in my heart. I want to buy that.
I was going to ask you where it was.
I have that.
I've been keeping it on my desk.
I just got it the other day, sitting in my closet.
I'll replace my Turtwig with it, maybe.
No, Turtwig.
Don't replace Turtwig. Put them together.
Yeah. I need to figure out.
I would put it in the background, but like you wouldn't be able to see it.
Just replace Spider-Man. I always use Spider-Man. It's orange. It's bright.
Yeah, put him next to Spider-Man. He'd really stand out.
Put him in front of
next to Kyler. Yeah.
Okay, hold on. That would ruin the whole vibe I'm going for though, because that's the Marvel shelf.
What's up top?
Preston's not a Marvel character. This is just assorted. I mean, mainly Bears, but like there's North Carolina and the Bulls up there.
The
so, David, what I'm hearing is your only solution is just to hold it like this the whole podcast.
every podcast you're on.
Put him on his own desk.
Sure.
Well, there you go.
Yeah, there you go.
Is your desk tall enough that like the top of his head will peek out with the camera? Because if you do that, then that's my solution.
Problem solved.
Valid. I did see on Twitter a few weeks back there was these orange jerseys, but instead of like the normal like white like numbering, it was the navy blue, which I've never seen before. It was back in like 2003. Why don't we just bring those back? They look so nice with like the current jersey with the orange.
I can't even pick. Send it to the
I will find it right now.
Yeah. I can't think of what you're talking about. My dad bought me a custom jersey when I was a kid. From his like Kuwait, Korea, wherever it's like 10 sizes too big and it's fake, so it doesn't look right. And the one he got me was orange with like the blue in the middle, but the blue was so dark it looks black, so it looked like a alternate Bengals jersey. But so I have one that's technically like that, but it's hideous because it's basically black.
I sent it in the chat. There's another photo.
Oh my god, I hate that. Burn it. Burn it.
I love it. I want it.
That is hideous. That looks like a high school jersey, bro.
You know what? We need that energy. We need that Friday night energy to just.
I don't know if it's a picture, but that blue looks super dark too.
It's not blue. That is black.
Yeah,
This is the Bengals.
It really is dude. It's.
Maybe another picture I found on Twitter. I'll find it later.
Damn, maybe the jersey my dad got me wasn't fake. This is just what it is. For those of you, this thing is fucking hideous.
We played against Dallas in those, so I guess apparently Dallas and orange go together because we played Dallas in the orange jerseys last year. So
worst uniform matchup of the year, by the way. Solid color on solid color is disgusting.
No, that's beautiful, man. When they're properly done, solid color on solid color can work perfectly.
No, solid versus white is the only way to go.
I disagree. I think some matchups like that can work. Like
Grayson, as we've noticed, when you disagree with me, I tend to be right.
I'm just saying, we can walk into Carolina and we can both wear the blues and the oranges and be fine. Happy.
No.
Yeah.
Well, because that's like the year where I think it was for Thursday Night Football. They had like the alternate where it was just like the solid thing, and it was like hot. What was it? The
Jets, Bills.
The Bills and the Jets. It just
looked like Christmas.
Yes,
I love that.
Well,
the Jaguars. Whenever I remember who the Jaguars.
Right.
It looked like a highlighter, and it was hideous.
Mustard and ketchup with the Rams.
Were like the mustard yellow.
Yeah, you're talking about it was the Seahawks and the Rams.
Seahawks, that's what I'm thinking of. Yeah, no.
Which I like the highlighter green Seahawks uniforms. I think
of course
cool.
you would.
I thought I didn't like that era. Like
they're too much.
Yeah, it's
but
like
that's why they're fun.
I had a lot of fun with all those. I love those.
I usually don't like solid color uniforms, but I like theirs because they're goofy looking.
See, that year though, the Bears wasn't even anything special. They just wore blue pants with it instead of
That
like
was
the
kinda
white.
Yeah, but I was so hyped when it came out because Kyle Long was
Kyle Long,
modeling
yeah.
them, and I was like, hell yeah. This is who I want repping the Bears, and there's our obligatory Kyle
Yeah,
Long.
so say we
reference.
get some Kyle Long.
Oh yeah, that was the first time we almost won a whole episode. Wow.
Don't
guys.
worry,
We
I
can't-
knew. I
we
was
can't allow
waiting
it.
for my opportunity. Don't worry.
They just keep
I
up
really
an hour
liked
and a
the
half in.
Ravens jerseys that year. The Vikings, honestly, purple in sports uniforms is always just so
Mhm.
good. I love it so much.
We need more of it.
We definitely do.
Bears changed to orange and purple, which is hideous, but
So
it's
that's
happening.
disgusting.
What are we, the Halloween
That's
team?
fucking Halloween.
Yeah.
Where are we, Clemson?
Oh, that is also Clemson. Yeah,
Not Clemson.
Clemson. They let. I don't watch college. I'm getting into college football this year,
I'm
and they're
actually
always
wearing a
good, and now they're
Clemson
kind of
shirt.
bad.
I heard they're bad. Yeah,
I'm gonna be honest. I just saw the top.
They don't
I
look
was a
good.
Bear this whole time.
I thought it was.
They don't look good.
They,
I
I,
have
know they
a-
were like tied with like non-existent college number 7 for like the entire first
FCS
half.
West.
Yeah, I have a disdain for Clemson now because of having to watch Miles Murphy film. He made
All
me
right.
hate that whole school.
I just hate Dabo. He's
What's wrong with
annoying.
that, though? I heard he's good.
He's very like, I'm above it all.
Mhm.
Like, I don't want to dip into like the NIL portal. You should all seek
Mhm.
Jesus more. Like
Oh, he's
holier
just
than
south.
thou.
he's very
Look at how that
he-
worked out for them. They lost. They're bad.
yeah.
Yeah,
He's
What,
just
Duke?
like he swears he's like so above it. Yeah, they lost to Duke. He's just so pretentious. That's the word I was looking for.
yeah.
Where's Coach O?
I had a health
Nowhere.
teacher in high school that he was a former football coach and a current soccer coach, so he would play us like videos of athletes all the time, which I don't know how that pertained to health class,
I mean,
but
athletes, I don't
he
think-
did. Well, no, it wasn't like them talking about health; it was them talking about like their stories, right? And I remember we watched Dabo probably 3 times within half a semester. And every single one, it was just Dabo telling us to find God. And I remember finally this one kid in the back of the class in the middle of a video stood up. And the kid, I knew him. He was atheist. He didn't believe in God. He was like, dude, this is a fucking health class. What is God going to tell me about my body? And the teacher was like, well, if you listen, you'll be able to cleanse your mind, body, and soul. And he was like, dude, fuck that. Tell me about dicks. And I've never seen a teacher get more angry at a kid in my life, but it was the funniest thing in the world.
My internet just popped back in. All I heard was "fuck dad, talk about dicks."
I'm not giving you the
All
context.
the context.
I don't need context. This is like the racist cities we talked about last week.
We always have that random rant about random stuff. But also, on a side note, this is again, we're just going to keep the off-topic thing. Another coach who's pretentious and I don't like is Jimbo Fisher. For my time of living in College Station, I worked at like the movie theater, like the big movie theater restaurant thing, like right next to A&M's campus. And every before home games, the entire A&M football team would come in, and they'd like rent out 2 theaters and like get free popcorn and ices and whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
First off, they would completely trash everything and make the biggest mess ever, and we'd have to like flip the theater in like 10 minutes, but we'd have to vacuum the entire thing because every inch of that floor was popcorn. So I didn't like the football team either, but specifically Jimbo, he like, you know, as basically a server, you know, you're like, oh, hey, how are you doing today? Like, hope your day is going well. Like, you talk to like the customers as they walk in. Bro just ignored everybody. Like, he was just an ass, and he would act like he wasn't allowed to talk to you. I do not like Jimbo at all. I will forever hate him for that year and a half that I had to deal with his shit.
Well, he's also, you know, everyone against NIL feels very validated with him because they suck. But also, I pray on his downfall because of reasons like such. So,
Very fair.
So yeah, the only college coach I ever remember is not Big O, Coach O. My God, and that's just because I remember the story of him taking Joe Burrow out to lobsters. Now I'm forgetting the complete story, but that's stuck in my brain of him just going, "What are you doing, Miller?"
I dropped something, and I was trying to continue balancing fields on my head while picking
I'm
it up.
impressed you kept it on as
you
long.
did pretty good.
I've got it. I'm cheating a little bit. I've got them tucked underneath my headphones.
Oh,
It's
okay.
got, like, the little
Having a
platform.
conversation with someone with it just on your head, like that's
I was, yeah. My dad came in. We were gonna watch the Thursday night game, but he's not feeling good, so I gotta watch it by myself.
I mean, the Vikings don't lose, so you know.
Yeah,
Let's hope
true.
best.
I just hope Jalen Carter doesn't have a good game because now this fan base has forced me to hate Jalen Carter from overreactions.
George fucking Pickens 2.0. George
really
Pickens is a fine player, but I hate his guts because Bears fans piss me the fuck off.
The shitty thing is, though, like, George Pickens is at least cocky, so I can make myself hate him because I'm like, oh, there goes Pickens again, running his mouth. Which, that sounded kind of racist. I promise I'm not one of those people that hates it when athletes talk. I promise I'm not. It's just George Pickens. Right. Shut up and catch the ball, goddammit. No, I'm not one of those people, I promise. Like, Pickens has that vibe about him. We all know. He's got that black Air Force energy, right?
He's NBA, NFL young boy.
NFL young boy, yeah. All of my hatred for Pickens stems from this fan base crying about him, I promise. But I'm able to justify it in my mind by being like, you know, I bet he probably wants to kill the guy across from him, and not in a good way, like in a Trevor Penning way, where it's edgy instead of just like, I want to hit him hard.
Trevor Penning's not even good at football to be talking shit, though.
He's not. And this is the same dude that was like, I like football because I can legally assault people. Like, dude, everyone on the planet eats your lunch. Who the fuck are you legally assaulting? Are you legally getting assaulted? Are you a masochist? Do you have a pain kink? Is that what this is? Is that your elaborate plan? Like, you're not like that.
We were so on top.
That's what makes this podcast fun, is the random rants about non-Bears related things.
Oh, I love it. I absolutely love it. But like, I usually do that at the beginning of the episode, but we just went into ranting about the game and how bad it was.
Well, because we actually went into football to start the podcast because we were all mad about the game, so we had to fit it in there somewhere.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I think we're going to wrap up the episode, right?
We're so back.
We are so back. We're winning this game by 45.
The masculine
so
urge
bad.
to say we're back.
2-3 final score. That's my prediction. You can suck my cock.
Well, goddamn.
Well,
Jesus fuck.
I flipped the switch. Like I went from being sad.
Jared has gone from the quiet, sad boy in the corner to the aggressor.
Listen, even in the Madden League, I went from just being happy and nice to everybody to I'm being petty as fuck. I don't care.
What
anymore.
was it? Totally off topic, but what was it you said to Drew? You were like, "Why don't you stop whining and go get some bitches?" Or something like that.
Well, because Grayson was like, "Well, sim in 15 minutes." He's like, "It's been 20 minutes. Why haven't we sim?" So I'm like, "Why don't you calm down and acquire some bitches?"
You said literally acquire some bitches and calm down.
I'm still on my petty mode a little bit. I'm starting to like get back.
He said that to a minor, by the way.
He can be a minor and still get some bitches as long.
Well,
as
no, I'm just saying, like, you're so petty and angry that you've resulted to insulting children.
Listen,
I'm not saying that minors. No, I'm not going to finish that sentence.
You should have started it.
All right,
let's end the podcast.
I'll link in the description below. We'll see you guys in the next episode after we beat the shit out of the Bucks. Bye bye.
Give it a thumbs up.
Miller.